Hello, naturalists. My name is Emily Woodmansee, and I am a teacher and a naturalist here in New Hampshire. Some of you may recognize me from STEAM Day last year. I had so much fun exploring Little Harbor School grounds with all of you. And this year, I'm excited to share some plant knowledge with all of you. Now, I'm going to start with a brief introduction to myself so you know who's talking to you from the screen. As I said, my name is Emily, and I get to be a professional naturalist. So basically what that means, a naturalist is someone who studies nature and studies natural phenomena, and someone who studies and records seasonal changes in nature. So I get to do all of that, and I also get to teach it to kids in the New Hampshire area. I work with infants all the way up to kids about your age, and I really just get to take them out on nature walks, teach them about the different plants and animals I know, and share with them just how much I love getting outside and learning new things. Now, today I'm super excited to get a little bit into some flower knowledge. It's springtime, so I'm sure you all are seeing flowers all around you. I know the lilacs near my house are blooming and they smell fantastic. I always kind of stick my head out the window and take a big sniff as I'm driving by. So you have the list of things you'll need to do some flower learning and flower art. You'll need a paper, some flowers, a hammer. We'll need some small tools. But of course, the most important piece for us today is the flower. So you can gather flowers from your backyard like a dandelion or a lilac, or you can use flowers that you buy either from the store or from a local garden center. Now, flowers, we love to sniff them. So let's start with that. Everybody, grab your flower. I'm gonna grab two, and just stick your nose in there and give them a big sniff. Now, sometimes when I'm out exploring, I encourage kids to put on a bear nose. Bears have big honking noses that they use to sniff. So plop one on your face, and then it will help you take really big sniffs. So give those flowers a smell. That's our first step. Maybe smell the leaves and the stem too. Do they smell the same? Do they smell different? On my flower, the leaves smell similar to the flowers, but the stem does not have much smell to it. So now that we've really opened up our senses and we're ready to explore our flowers, let's talk about what on earth is a flower. We see them everywhere, but do you often stop to think about what exactly a flower is? Sometimes I forget to think about it. A flower is really important for a plant. Put simply, a flower is a bloom or a blossom. It's the colorful part of the plant that's responsible for producing new plants. So we are going to dive into some flower anatomy, the parts of a flower, and we'll get to know which parts are technically the girl parts, which parts are the boy parts, which parts are petals, which parts are leaves, which parts are stems. But the most important thing to know about these beauties is that really their entire role is to attract pollinators, be bright and colorful so that a bumblebee or a butterfly will come visit take some pollen, bring that to a new plant, and pollinate, creating more and more new plants and flowers. So, we're going to start with some simple plant anatomy. Now, I have just a quick drawing of the parts of a flower. I thought about sending this all to you, but I think it's simpler to just kind of give it a look, because we're not trying to memorize the parts of a flower today. We're just trying to introduce ourselves and get to know the flowers that we're working with. Here are just a couple of the parts of our flower, outlined and labeled, making it easy for us to know what we're looking for. Now, of course, flowers have petals. On this flower, there's 1, 2, 3 petals. And then they also have sepals. So those are those little green leaves that you often see kind of right at the base of a flower. They have a stigma right there in the middle. They have a style, an ovary, and those 3 parts together make up the pistil. Now, they also have an anther, or more than one anther, and a filament, and those parts together make up the stamen. So let me grab a flower and we'll look at these parts a little more up close. If you're ready to join me, you can grab your flower too, and we'll go through the parts of a flower together. Now, it's important to note that not every single flower is going to be exactly the same. Some flowers have that stamen, all of it is kind of combined. Some of them, like this flower here, have much more distinct parts. So let's go through. We're not going to pull anything off of our flower yet. Let's just use our eyes to notice the different parts of this flower. So we have our green leaf coming up off the side right here. That is our sepal. Moving on up, we have our pink petals. You can see that nice up close. So find the petals on your flower as well. We've got those pink petals, and then we can kind of push our petals aside, and we'll see all of these parts and pieces in the middle. Now, on my flower, there is very, very prominent anther, filament, and together that makes up the stamen. Now, if we kind of move those away very carefully, can you see that there's a piece there in the middle? So that middle piece right there, that makes up our stigma. Right in there. So it's kind of stuck in between the different anther filament combinations, but right in there, that makes up our pistil. So those are the basic, simple parts of a flower, really easy to identify on one flower. Now, if I was looking at something like my dandelion, it might look a little bit different. So if you have another flower, go ahead and grab it and we'll take a peek at that one too. So on my dandelion, you can see those sepals right there. The yellow part here, those of course are our petals. But then if you start to dive in, dig a little deeper, move the petals to the side, you can find, oh, come on, flower, work with me. There we go. You can find those stamen on the inside. I know it's kind of hard for you to see at home, but you're gonna have to kind of pull your petals away and find that stamen right there in the middle. So even on a dandelion, it doesn't quite look as proud and prominent as these flowers, but even on a dandelion, we can find those parts of a flower. All right, so we kind of took a little dive into the parts of a flower. Now, because we're naturalists, we want to record and label and make note of the different observations we made. So, this is where your paper comes in. If you were in first grade or second grade, I would make a chart that looks like this. Parts of the flower up top, and then we're going to make different columns for the different parts of the flower. So you'll want one column for petals, one column for sepal, one column for the stamen with anther and filament. So let me pull my flower back up again. Remember, that's these yellow topped kind of club-like parts right there. You're going to want another column for pistil with stigma. And then I always think it's fun to just make a little pollen rubbing on my chart. So let me hold this up for a second so everybody can write it down, and then I'll show you another chart that you could do if you're in kindergarten or first grade, or if you just want to do a different chart. Okay, so if you're in kindergarten or first grade, or you just want to do a different kind of chart, you could make one that looks a little bit more like this. Parts of a flower, petals, sepal, pollen, and then the leaf and the stem if you have them. So let me show you this chart for a second, and then we'll start dissecting our flowers. All right, everybody, so this is where your tiny tools are going to come in. If you have tweezers or something small to pick apart your flower, go ahead, grab that, grab your flowers, and make sure you have your chart ready. All right, I hope everybody is ready to dive into some flower dissection. I am actually gonna kind of put the camera so that you can see exactly what I'm doing, and we'll dissect a flower together. All right, everybody, I'm ready to start dissecting my flower. So I just have a small pair of tweezers, but whatever you have at home will do. And I'm gonna start by using my tweezers. Okay, so I used my tweezers to gently remove the sepal from my plant. So I'm gonna lay that right here in the sepal category. Now I'm going to use my tweezers to gently remove each petal from the plant. So I'm going to place those into my container for right now. So we're just going to remove petals gently. And I like to bring my tweezers all the way down so they're very close to the base of the flower and remove it right there. This is my dog, by the way, Charlie. I know you can see just a little bit of him. He's very interested in what I'm doing. All right, so we want to remove every single petal so that we can reveal the stamen and the pistil underneath. Okay, I've removed my last petal, so I'm just going to take one petal and add it to my paper. Hopefully it doesn't blow away too quickly. So now we're working on the stamen with the anther and the filament. So you want to kind of maneuver your tweezers in there, slide them all the way down, and then just pinch off your entire stamen. So you can see that little kind of club at the top, and then the rest of the part of the stamen. So we're just going to place that right here on our page. Oh, I'm losing all my things here. There we go. All right, so now that we've removed one stamen, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the rest of them. So remember, I kind of put my tweezers in at the top and then slide all the way down to pinch off each stamen. Done. And then we want to get at the pistil with the stigma. So on this flower, I'm looking at this piece right here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to pinch it off, and then I'm going to place it on my chart. So we have a petal, a sepal, the stamen, and the pistil. Now our last category is pollen, so we are actually going to take one of our stamens, and this part of the top, just kind of use your finger to rub it into your paper, and you'll have your pollen right there, your nice yellow pollen. So give this a try with your flower, and maybe try a couple of different flowers. You may have one chart for one flower and another chart that looks completely different. Now, if we were doing our pre-K and first grade chart, that's this chart here, we would have slightly different parts of our flowers to put in there. So I'm going to grab one more flower and we'll do this together again. So we're going to start with our sepal. Remove that. We're going to remove our petals. And then on our our kindergarten or first grade chart, we are actually just going to come in here and grab that pollen, rub it in, and then I'm going to grab the entire stalk of this plant. So now I have a full plant, and I'm going to go ahead and grab these leaves, add them there, and use my scissors to snip off a piece of the stem. Beautiful. All right, so I always love looking up close at the parts of a flower. I hope you dove into a couple of different kinds of flowers. It can be a lot of fun to take this same chart and do multiple flowers. Compare and contrast to see how flowers are different. Maybe choose one dandelion from your yard and compare that with a flower that you bought at the store. Especially if you do the chart with the stamen and the pistil, you will notice that different flowers have combined parts or less visible parts. So give that a try, and then you will reach the awesome, fun art part of our flower investigation. So for this part, you're going to need a couple of different flowers. So I have some beautiful yellow flowers. Make sure you always give your flowers a sniff before you use them. I have some purple flowers. Grab these out of my bag here. My purple flowers. And then I'm going to use some more of my pink flowers. Now, our flowers have incredible pigments that give them this bright pink color and this bright yellow color. And their leaves have chlorophyll, which is what makes them look green. So we are actually going to use a hammer to kind of pound those pigments and that chlorophyll onto a piece of paper. So to get started, you are going to want to kind of pull your flowers apart. So I'm going to pull one flower off, pull these off there, pull these off. So I've removed all of my flowers from my stem, and then I'm going to start to pull some of my leaves off because I want to use these as well. All right, I'm gonna move on to my next flower. There's my dog, Charlie. So remove this flower. Beautiful. No leaves on this one, that's okay. And I'll do the same here, so just pulling off the flowers. And then I'll do one more pink one since these have all the leaves to them. Okay, so I have a bucket full of leaves and flowers. And now I'm gonna take my hammer and I'm gonna use a little bit of soft cloth to cover the top of my hammer. So here's my cheesecloth, and I am just gonna fold it over and wrap it around the top of my hammer. So if you were to use your hammer and smash some flowers onto a paper, you would probably just kind of smush the flowers up. But this cloth kind of helps keep it from being too abrasive or too harsh on your flowers. So I put a rubber band around the top and I just have a little bit of soft cloth. And then this is the fun part. So, safety first, you want to make sure you have a hammer hand and a hand that stays way out of the way. But very simply, we are just going to pound some flowers with our hammer. So let me get a brand new piece of paper here. Here we go. And I'm going to just clip my flower to my clipboard so I can show you all how this works. Then we just hammer. It worked a little bit. See, I got a little bit of pink color in there. Let me try some yellow. All right, I'm going to gather a bunch of these yellow petals, stick them in my clipboard so I can show you all at home. Grab my hammer, kind of hit it, pound it, get that yellow off of my flower. All right, let's see the results. Oh my goodness, look at that, naturalists. So you really get that yellow pigment coming out. Let's try a leaf. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna pop a couple of leaves into my clipboard. There they are. And we're just gonna pound, 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 pound. Oh my gosh, naturalists, look at that. So the yellow pigment from the petals and the chlorophyll from the leaves. Now, the fun thing about flower pounding art is you can do any sort of design you want. Maybe you want to set up a new chart and have a column for yellow, a column for green, a column for pink, or maybe you just want to make some beautiful art with your flowers. You can do whatever you choose. The fun part is exploring, guessing what color you're gonna see, how bright that color will be, and then seeing the results at the end. Now, there's one more thing I want to share with my older watchers before we head out, is I like to make a little nature notebook entry about the different flowers that I investigate. So if you're in first grade or second grade or older, and you want to investigate a flower and get to know it even more, you can use something like this to draw a picture of your flower, to name it at the top, and give some clues that indicate how you identified that flower. You could even give it your own name. I might name these flowers Tiny Yellow Sunbursts. I might name this flower, they kind of look like little purple buttons to me. I might call this Purple Button Flower. So have fun with this, naturalists. Get to know your flowers up close, explore the different parts, explore their pigments and their chlorophyll, and just have fun. Maybe you even want to collect flowers from a nature walk and do some pounding art from each flower you collect. I know you'll have a lot of fun. Make sure that you turn on that naturalist brain and have a lot of curiosity before you give this a try. All right, well, thank you all for joining me. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy a lot of other cool STEAM videos and have fun learning about some flowers. Bye-bye.